I wanted to share some thoughts this morning about optimism. Optimism is something that we think of as a good thing, and generally it is a good thing. There are different kinds of optimism. And as we look out towards the new year, as we continue into this new year, I want us to think about the type of optimism that's actually the most productive for us. So I've been reading a book, which I would recommend. I'm holding it up right here. It's backwards. I don't know how to make it not look backwards. Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. He is a professor of psychology emeritus, and together with Amos Tversky, he did some very interesting research in how we make decisions. And what they determined together is that there are really two ways that we approach reality and make decisions. One, he calls system one, which is fast think. It's when you assess a situation very quickly, instinctively. You look at somebody and you say, I just don't trust that person. Or you look at a situation and you say, this is going to turn out fine, or this is not going to turn out fine. The second, system two, is slow think, our slower, more deliberate reaction when we force ourselves to reconsider the quick reaction and we re-examine our initial assumptions. Now, Kahneman writes that system two is very lazy. We don't usually want to do the deep thinking that is often helpful for us as we navigate situations. We tend to just stick with our initial, you might call it our gut reaction or our fast think. This time of year, we are especially encouraged to do slow think. Shuva is about self-reflection. It's about a careful analysis of what it is that we're doing, of what other people are doing, of where we might need to correct our steps. And it is not easy. And Kahneman would say that there are so many motivations for us not to do that kind of slow and deep analysis and thinking. So what does this have to do with optimism? Well, Kahneman writes that most people have a fast think optimism. Most of us actually think that things will turn out better for us than statistics suggest that they actually will. So if you've ever started a business, this might be of particular interest to you. Professor Kahneman says that most people overestimate their chances of having a successful business. If you ask 100 business people, will your business succeed within 5 years? Most of them will say absolutely. But in fact, only 35% of businesses succeed past a 3-year window, much less a 5-year window. So our optimism, he is suggesting, often comes from a fast think place. So we say, for example, our restaurant will succeed even though most restaurants fail after a couple of years. Our video will go viral even though most videos flop. We say, we will be successful at our first year of teaching middle school, even though most middle school teachers will tell you that the first year of teaching middle school often is extremely challenging at best. Now, you might say that optimism is a great thing. We'll work harder if we're optimistic. Kahneman says not necessarily. Fast think optimism, the kind of gut reactive optimism of we're going to be fine, even though most people might not be so fine, that can make us overestimate our own abilities and underestimate the role of luck and things that are beyond our control. So I want to suggest on this Shabbat Shuva, the Shabbat of deep reflection that we're asked to do, what can slow think optimism look like? Is there a way for us to be optimistic that is deeper, that is perhaps more mature, and that gives us the capacity in the end to be more successful at achieving our goals? So slow think optimism can look as follows. We identify a goal. We assess our strengths and our weaknesses as realistically as we can. We have the humility to recognize that no matter what we do, there are things beyond our control. There's luck, and there's how well other people are going to do, especially if they are our competitors. We enlist the help of other people. We understand that outcomes are a combination of effort and circumstance. We appreciate that there are going to be failures along the way, and we are prepared for the very real possibility of failure. And we also understand that our efforts, if they don't bear fruit now, may well bear fruit into the future. If you haven't seen the movie On the Basis of Sex, I recommend that you watch it. It is about the real life efforts, fictionalized, of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg to help to achieve gender equality in the United States. So when she first graduated from Columbia Law School, which she transferred to from Harvard Law School because she needed to for personal family reasons, she was turned down by law firm after law firm because, as she put it in an interview, this was not in the movie, she had 3 strikes against her. She was a woman, she was a mother, and she was a Jew. So the film talks about, and obviously her life is a much deeper narrative, 5 laws that she helped to achieve gender equality. So here are the 5 things that she achieved over the course of her lifetime. I'll just share. Number 1, employers cannot discriminate against women based on gender or reproduction choices. Prior to this, women could be dismissed for being pregnant. Many women of her generation know that very well. Number 2, state-funded schools must admit women. Number 3, women have the right to financial independence and equal benefit. Prior to this, a man had to co-sign for a woman for mortgages and bank accounts. Number 4, this is going in the other direction. Men are entitled to the same caregiving rights as women. She defended a man, this actually was in the film, forgive me, not all of these were, but she defended a man who was denied a tax deduction on the basis of caring for his elderly mother. She believed gender equality meant gender equality for all. And number 5, juries must include women. So based on her actions and her writings and her statements over the years, I would say that she exemplified deep, thoughtful, slow think, mature optimism, which is the confluence of appropriate self-confidence and humility and hard work and collaboration and recognition that failure is inevitable and no reason to stop trying. And she also understood that her efforts might not be realized immediately or even in her lifetime. So she famously said the following when she was asked, why did she write so many dissenting opinions? And obviously she was known for this, I dissent. So she wrote the following: dissents speak to a future age. It is not simply to say my colleagues are wrong and I would do it this way, but the greatest dissents do become court opinions, and gradually over time, their views become the dominant view. So that is the dissenters' hope, that they are writing not for today, but for tomorrow. Half a century ago, very few synagogues were giving women equal ritual opportunity, and a few Jewish leaders were advocating that women as well as men should be given the opportunity to become rabbis. At the time, all of these were minority views. Just this past week, the memorial service for Justice Ginsburg was presided over by Rabbi Lauren Holtzberg of Congregation Addis Israel in Washington, D.C. And Rabbi Holtzberg pointed out how significant it was that she was conducting this service in honor and in memory of Justice Ginsburg. Sometimes we plant seeds for the future, for things that might not be crystallized in the present. And that is part of a deep, slow think optimism that can really produce effective results and change. When Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses our teacher, addressed the children of Israel, he said the following: Ki anochi yadati acharei moti, ki hashchet hashchetun b'sartem min haderech asher tiviti etchem. I know that when I'm gone, you will act wickedly, and you will turn away from the path that I have commanded you. At first blush, this is not an optimistic statement. Moses was saying, when I'm gone, you guys are going to go back to doing all the things that you're not supposed to do. But if we dig deeper, we see that Moses' entire life was animated by a commitment to the people and their capacity ultimately to create a society that would take place long after they had entered the land, and that would hopefully continue to flourish long after he was gone. His actions, his overall support of them, his generally patient teaching suggest ultimately a mature and optimistic spirit. So I want to say to all of us on this Shabbat Shuva, let's try to approach this new year as it unfolds with slow think optimism, deep optimism, mature optimism, asking what are our goals, what efforts should we make, whose help do we need, what do we do when we fail, because we will likely fail from time to time, and ultimately, how can we work not only for today, but for a better tomorrow. Shabbat Shalom.